Welcome to the Man United stream. Hope you're doing well. It's Friday, the best day of the week. It always is. And when it comes to Man United, I feel like everything drops on a Friday. Friday is the day where we get huge news. Even during the summer transfer window, it was Friday where everything was dropping. And I love Fridays anyway because you've got the weekend to look forward to. Even though we've got no Premier League football, I mean, we still have to make do. We have to make do with international football. You can maybe watch some players, maybe players that you might be interested in. But anyway, forget all that. Forget all that. We've got huge news coming your way today. And it's all to do with, of course, this rumour report about a £5.2 billion takeover of Man United by a UAE consortium, a Dubai consortium, a group of investors that have joined together and decided, right, we're going to go and buy Man United. Now, this could be a group of friends who've just sat around the table, probably discussed what's going on with United and thought, do you know what? We're sick of this. We're sick of this and how Jim Ratcliffe's come in and thought he's going to change things around and how the Glazers are running things. We're going to go and buy out Man United. It might have been a bet, maybe, between friends. Like, look, do you know what? We should go and buy out Man United. And, yeah, we'll go and do it. We'll just go and do it. That's probably what they all decided. And now we're hearing concrete rumours, reports that there is a group of investors out in Dubai who have got together and they are either have already made a bid or are in the preparations of making a bid in the region of about £5.2 billion to take over Man United, to buy off the Glazers. Now, the question we have right now is whether the Glazers have already been in touch with this group of investors or whether this is just completely cold, whether this is just brand new news, no one actually knows about it, and it's just being posted out there as this is the big news. This is the big news, but really, Man United don't know about it, and neither the Glazers. We don't believe that's true. From speaking to a few sources, and obviously we got the news from this one source, this one guy out in Saudi Arabia, so in the Middle East, but not from Dubai. But he's in those circles, isn't he? He's a guy who's in these investment circles, will know high value individuals and groups and companies. And he'll know what's going on behind the scenes, who's planning what, who's buying what, because he's in the world of sport and he's got his ear to the ground. So he made it public yesterday or the day before, night before yesterday, where he came out and put out a tweet saying that Man United are ready to sell. The Glazers are going to sell the club to a group of investors, and that it's in advanced stages. I'm not going to go through that tweet because we kind of did a whole show yesterday on that tweet. But essentially what that tweet was saying, look, there's a group of people, investors from the Middle East who are going to go and buy Man United. They're in advanced talks and it's going to get done. That's essentially what he said. And the reporters, the journalists, later on in the day, yesterday, the news broke the night before. Then everyone went out crazy in the morning, and we did a show. There's lots of other people who did shows on this possible tweet and what it could mean. Could he just be pulling everyone's leg, or could this guy be out there actually giving facts, right? And then we got the normal journalists, the mainstream media journalists. They came out saying it's not. There's no news on this. There's no such news. What he's tweeted out there, no one can verify it. So they couldn't say yes, it's going to happen, but they couldn't say it's not happening either. All they said was the official line from United is that there's no such takeover and there's nothing coming from the Glazers either. That's what they reported on. So it kind of put a bit of a dampener on things because we were hoping maybe these rumours are true. Maybe we are gonna get a sale. Finally, we're gonna get rid of the Glazers. And I don't know any fan out there. I don't know one single fan who will say, I'll keep the Glazers. I'll keep the Glazers. No one out there will say such a thing. Every Man United fan with with some common sense will say, we want the Glazers out. We don't want the Glazers here because they've done jack shit for the club. They've done nothing for us as a club since they've been the owners of United. What have they done? I mean, there's some fans who always point to the fact, or not fans, but maybe rival fans who point to the fact that, oh, the Glazers have spent so much money buying in players and blah. They haven't. They haven't done that. I mean, you just need to work out one thing. The Glazers have never put any of their personal cash on the line for United. They've never done that. The club itself has taken the money, the profits, the revenue that it makes, and then gone out and bought these players. The Glazers have never emptied their pockets or gone to their bank account and transferred money over to Man United. It's always been the other way around. Anyway, the Glazers is a whole new topic. Let's just focus on this guy called Turki Al-Sheikh. Okay, he is the boxing world. He's a mogul in the boxing world. He is now the supremo in the boxing world. Everybody who follows boxing knows that this guy is the deal maker. He is running the whole of the boxing events around the world, and he's creating all these big, massive deals, paying boxers millions of pounds to fight out in Saudi and everywhere. And this guy himself is a head of an investment group which have got billions of pounds to literally throw away. But not throw away, but invest. And he himself made this tweet, made it public about, like I said, 2 days ago, at night, where he said United are in advanced talks. Then many people thought, okay, this has been ruled out. No normal mainstream media journalists have come out saying this is not the case. This is not the case. There's nothing that they can verify. But then he dropped another post on social media, on X, and let's go and have a look at it because it's crazy, man. It's crazy. So he doubles down. He essentially doubles down on everything. He says, my yesterday's post about Manchester United's potential sale meant one thing. The club is in advanced negotiation phase with a new investor. Just to clarify, I'm not the investor, nor are they from my nation. I'm posting this as a fan who wishes the deal to happen. Though it might not necessarily happen. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. And the reason why there's lots to unpack, number one, he clarifies, he goes down, doubles down and says, no, this is true. I'm not bullshitting. I'm not just talking out my backside here. I'm not just, sitting there just on my phone bored, and I thought I'll just put out a clickbait here and message on X and saying Man United is going to get sold, and there's investors in advanced talks with, we don't know who, but we presume it's the Glazers because Jim Ratcliffe isn't going to sell his shares. He's literally just bought them, and he's not, well, he looks like he's planning for the future. So it's the Glazers who might be working behind the scenes on this deal because they own 75% of United. Anyway, coming back to this post first. So he says, my yesterday's post about Manchester United's potential sale meant one thing. The club is in advanced negotiations phase with a new investor. So he doubles down on it. He says, no, I'm sticking by what I said. So despite everyone else saying, no, there's no such thing going on, I'm sticking with what I'm saying. And I know what a lot of people don't know, which is there is a negotiation taking place and it's in the advanced phase. So near the end with a new investor. Just to clarify, I'm not the investor. That's fine. That is perfectly fine. Nor are they from my nation. Now, that was a bit of a surprise because we initially thought, because he broke the news, that it's going to be someone either from his group of people or him, or it might be someone else in Saudi. We did say yesterday that the Saudis had just bought a EA Sports. It's a gaming company out in Canada for 50-something billion pounds. I think it was 57 billion pounds. 57 billion. Just start thinking about that figure. 57 billion pounds. So what United's worth? About 5, 6 million, 7 million, 8 million. Let's call it 8 million. 8 billion pounds is nothing for these guys. These guys can go and afford him. United, if they want to, they can get out of bed and say, right, I fancy buying United this morning. We'll go and make an offer for 8 billion. It's loose pocket change. Don't really care. And that's what they're gonna. I think that's what they're doing. We've got some messages, guys. Thank you for doing that. I like getting into interactions because we need to discuss this. I'm jumping on live not because I just want to make it live. I want to make it live because I want to hear from fans. I want to kind of see what they have to say about this, because I don't want to get carried away. I don't want to get excited. I don't want to run away with this idea that United are all of a sudden going to get sold and we're going to see the back of the Glazers. I really can't let myself get carried away, because I did that over the summer with obviously Jim Ratcliffe and the Sheikh Yassim, the ghost that never was, and we thought, okay, that might happen. Red Devil United said, thoughts on potential ex-players involved. Again, we heard this with the Qataris. We heard that Beckham was involved. We heard that there was a few other ex-players that were around the table advising the Qataris to go in and buy United. Look, I don't really care. As long as the Glazers get bought out, I don't care who comes in and who is involved, whether it's ex-players. Obviously, having ex-players involved is a great thing, because what that does is give you some credence, and it gives the company that coming in a bit of a backbone. It gives them someone who can have their ear and say, look, this is how United is run. This is how you need to make the offer. This is how you need to proceed with things. The last thing you want is someone from Dubai, an investment group that don't have a clue as to what's going on at United, how things are done, how to approach the Glazers, how to approach Jim Ratcliffe and get the deal done. We know they've got the money, so let's just put that to the side. The group that are investing out from the UAE, this is confirmed now, by the way. So he put out this message on here. Let's go back to it again, because where is it gone? Here we go. So it goes. Oh, this is it. So he says yesterday. My post, and he says it's not me, but it's not from my nation, but it's somebody else, and I'm posting this as a fan, and I wish the deal to happen, though it may not necessarily happen. That wasn't good. That last line he put in, though it may not necessarily happen, doesn't fill me with confidence. As a United fan, I'm thinking, I don't like this. He's already backtracking a little bit here. He's saying all these positive things, but then he's also saying it might not necessarily happen. Why would it not happen? Why not? So Red Devil United, hopefully we get more stories breaking today. Fingers crossed we do, because this is huge. If we can see the back of the Glazers, everything else is minute. Any other problem we've got at this club is nothing compared to what we have with the owners, because we've got 75% ownership of a club where these owners really don't care about what's going on in the club. So that's not a good partnership. Jim Ratcliffe can do whatever he wants to do to turn the tide around and try and make this whole club become a different club, but even he will struggle because he's carrying the weight of the Glazers. How can someone do that? If you've got a partner, forget 75%, if you've got a 50-50 partnership in a business with somebody else and you're doing all the work, you're carrying everything, you're carrying all the weight, all the stress, everything, you're investing in everything, and your 50% partnership with this other person, he's just sitting there doing nothing, doesn't turn up to work, doesn't do anything, just wants to take the money, turns up once a year and wants to take all the dividends, all the money out of your business and walk away. What do you think that's going to do to you? You're going to sit there thinking, I don't want this guy, I don't want this person here. 50%. Right now, the current state of the club right now is that we've got owners in the Glazers who own 75% of the club but really don't want to be there. So there's some fans saying, no way does Jim Ratcliffe not know that these negotiations are going on behind his back. Of course he doesn't. He wouldn't know. The Glazers might want to be selling the club. They want out. Red Devil United say, I want it to be true, but we saw what happened 2 years ago. Exactly. We saw what happened 2 years ago. And I think we all as fans are really cautious. I've spoke to quite a few fans already since yesterday and tried to see what they feel about it. And I asked them, I go, look, what do you think? What do you think about this possible takeover? And they all said, we all know what happened. We all know what happened a few years ago where we got carried away. We were talking about signing Mbappe and bringing. We were already talking about transfers. We were talking about what we're going to actually do with all this money that's going to come in, and it's going to clear our debt, and it's going to then enable us to go out there and buy more players. Alfonso says, fingers crossed. Obviously, it's definitely good to see the Glazers gone. All the same. Yeah, I agree. I said it in the opening of this show, and I've said it plenty of times already. I don't think there's any single fan out there who would look at the Glazers, apart from Jim Ratcliffe, of course. Apart from Jim Ratcliffe, who would love to see the Glazers still here. Unless he's just playing chess with them. You know, he's playing a game where he, out in the press, out in the media, he turns around and says, I really like the Glazers. I think they're really lovely people. They're a lovely family. You've got to get to know them. Behind closed doors, they're very nice and they're very positive people. And what is all that about? How can you say that? How can you say that after what they've done to our club? 60-40 split. I'm getting most are thinking true at the moment. So Red Devil United, if that is the case, fingers crossed, man. I'm praying. I literally am. I'm thinking, this is what I've been waiting for so many years. I've been waiting for this day. And I was hopeful when we were when the Glazers were in trouble 2 years ago. We were discussing how the Glazers were skint. They had no money. They were running out of cash. They didn't want to put any of their own money into the club. Can you believe these owners? So they were running United into the ground, but they were not prepared to put a single penny of their own money into this club to help it out. They were like, no, we're going to keep our money exactly where we are, but we're not going to put our own money into this place. We'll go and get some investor. And when they announced that, they're looking for an investor, we thought, right, this is it. And then Ratcliffe clearly didn't have the funds to go out there and buy out the Glazers outright. And for me, that was a no-no to begin with. I didn't want an owner who's coming in saying, already, I haven't got the funds. I haven't got the funds to buy you outright. That was the biggest opportunity that we had 2 years ago to buy the Glazers out. And who fumbled it? Jim Ratcliffe. Jim Ratcliffe fumbled it. And I don't care who the owner is. I'm being honest here. I don't care if it's the Qataris, I don't care if it's the UAE or the Saudis or Jim Ratcliffe or someone else from anywhere else. As long as the owner is prepared to put his money where his mouth is and actually fund United and actually make things better. We know we're in huge amounts of debt, and a club cannot run and not look forward if they've got such a debt hanging over their heads. We cannot do it. We cannot do it. No matter what happens in the future, if we don't get rid of the debt, we're going to always be a struggling club. And we've got to accept that fact. We are a giant of a club, and these bloody Glazers have brought us down to our knees as a club. I mean, just look back. I mean, even if you're a young fan, just Google the bloody thing. Go back and Google what we would like before the Glazers walked into this flipping club. We were massive. We were giants all across the world. I mean, clubs dreamt of being like us. And we were so ahead of the game. We were so far ahead of the cities. And why do you think Sir Alex Ferguson could turn around and call them the noisy neighbours? Because he felt no threat from City. He didn't care for these guys because he knew no matter what, United were way ahead of the game. And then these bloody Glazers came in and they turned everything to a complete shit show. The complete shit show. But anyway, coming back to the positives, right? Okay, so the positives are we're getting a few people. Red Devil United has filled us up with some confidence today. So thank you very much for that. I mean, you've got to be optimistic. We can't all be looking and thinking, it's not going to get done. It's not going to get done. Look, there are lots of Man United fans out there across the world. Some billionaires probably sat there who support United and look at United and think, I could do a better job. I could be a better owner than the current owners. And I'm guessing that's exactly what's happening with the current owners. The current owners are doing a complete crap job. And then there's fans out there, obviously from the UAE or Middle East, and they're looking at it thinking, do you know what? We can do a better job than what the Glazers are doing. Let's get together I can see this happening. I can see this happening in lifetime, real time, where the fans, a couple of fans have got together, they're watching United, and they're billionaires, and they're watching United, and they're like, what a cock-up United are, what a cock-up, what are they doing right now? And then they've decided, shall we go and put an offer in? Yeah, you got $1 billion, I've got $1 billion. Let's put our money into a pot. Let's put $1 billion each and let's have some fun. Let's go and really play Football Manager or something like that in real life. Let's go and pick up this club and take it to where it deserves to be. I think that's what's happened. And I think there are people out there in Dubai who've got money. Now, one name that's mentioned here, again, you've got to take a lot of this with a pinch of salt. The names being linked here are not necessarily what I've been able to verify, but I have spoke to sources out in Dubai, and there are groups of investors who are looking at many different ventures, sporting being one of them. They like investing in sport clubs. And United will be the best. It'll be one of the best jewels in the crown for anyone to get. Coming back to the questions on the Glazers and why they would sell. So there's a few questions that I've had saying, now the Glazers, why would they sell? Why would the Glazers sell right now? And I've kind of spoke to somebody else about it, and I was asking them, I was like, okay, you work in finance, so why would the Glazers sell right now, United? And then he made it very clear. He said, well, look, the Glazers, number one, bought United for around about £580 million. Just call it 600 million. 600 million. That's a fraction of what they're now going to sell United for. So the profit margin in that sale is humongous. That's number one. But he goes, the biggest issue that the Glazers have is that they've got an investment. They've got money in this club, but really they're not getting much out of it in terms of dividends, in terms of what they're making. A football club isn't really that profitable. So if they're looking at it thinking, if we can make 6 billion or 5 billion from this club, take that money and invest it into something else, we will get a better return. And for them, it's always been about money. It's never been about putting Man United back on the map. It's never been about watching great football or, seeing United do well on the pitch. That's clear. We've always known that. We've always known that these guys really don't really care what's going on the pitch. And the reason why we know that is because you can see from the appointments that they made since they've been the owners of United. They've come in and appointed financial people. They've never appointed footballing people at the positions that needed to be. The CEOs were always people from finance and from their business background, never footballing guys. Only now, since Jim Ratcliffe took over, have we actually brought in Omar Brada, who's been working for football clubs previously. We've got Jason Wilcox, we had Dan Ashworth. All these guys are footballing people. They're not from the business world. They've not come from accounting like Woodward did and things like that. No, these guys are all born and bred. They know it. Football is always on their mind, so they know what to do at the club. Anyway, this guy here is being linked. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. I've never heard of the guy. Dubai heavyweight Mohammed Al Bar, founder of Imar Group, is part of the UAE consortium eyeing Manchester United takeover. I think Imar is a huge building group out there in the Middle East. I've been there a couple of times, and you see their posters everywhere. And I think they build apartments and buildings across Dubai. So clearly they've got money. They'll have billions, and he's looking at it. He might be someone who's probably looked at United. He might be a fan. He might be a United fan, and he might be saying, right, do you know what? I'm gonna go and buy United. I'm going to go and buy United. Maybe. I mean, there's a report here, a post from Alex Crook. He's another a journalist, and he said, MUFC sources in the dark, UAE takeover claims, but any potential investors can go direct to the Glazers. Details of clause forcing Ratcliffe's hand, plus potential for club legends to get involved, and 5 billion valuation. So that is what he's quoting Ben Jacobs there, and we know this. This is what I was speaking about earlier on in the show, which I was saying, look, the mainstream journalist Ben Jacobs and a few others came out yesterday, and they did say, look, there's no news, there's no confirmation from United that this is actually taking place. But then again, they might be in the dark in this one. The Glazers might be behind the scenes working on this deal, and there's no reason for the Glazers to tell United either. And there's the thing about the drag on clause. Now, a few people have mentioned this, and it's the drag along, and everyone's been mentioning it. And now, let me explain a little bit about the drag on clause, because this is again something that we kind of we don't really understand, or most people don't understand. So let me just bring up Chris Wheeler. So he put this out. So he said, Man United takeover, UAE consortium way up offer. So he confirms that. He says ex-players sounded out. Early days, but no approach yet. Then he says Saudi Supremo's sensational claim. That is obviously the Al Turkey. And then we've got the Glazers still want 5 billion plus. And then they've got the drag along clause puts Ratcliffe at risk. Now, the drag-along clause is a clause within the agreement between Jim Ratcliffe and the Glazers, saying that if a certain date passes, which is now passed, I think it was a month ago, and Jim Ratcliffe hasn't made an offer to buy the rest of the shares from the Glazers, the 75%, then the Glazers are free to go and sell their shares to somebody else. But not only can they sell their 75% of the shares, they can force Jim Ratcliffe to sell his 25% of the shares to the same investor. Massive clause in this contract. Yes, there are some requirements. Of course, Jim Ratcliffe's not that silly. He's not going to be forced into selling shares for the price that is being offered. He's going to sell the shares at the price that he bought them at. So he's not going to get undervalued shares, and he's not going to be able to sell. He's not going to be selling them at a loss. He's still going to break even. So no matter what happens, he can still break even. So whatever the Glazers decide to do, and if they drag Jim Ratcliffe along with them, saying you've got to sell your shares to this investment group, they're offering us something crazy like 6 billion or whatever, 5 billion, and you've got to sell them. They can force the Ineos to sell those shares as long as it meets the basic price that I think it was £30 per share that Ineos paid. But the figures we'll have to check. Mark Harris says, Sir Jim needs to retire. How can you give Amrin 3 years without results impacting? He seems clueless with a clueless manager. Yeah, we discussed this yesterday, Mark. Good point. Look, it's crazy. It's crazy. Jim Ratcliffe, for someone, and look, I don't want to be harsh, but someone who's reached quite an old age, you'd think that he'd want instant success. He'd think, well, who gives a shit about what I'm going to do with the money? I'm not taking it with me. Let's go and splash the cash. Let's go and put my money into this venture of United. I'm a United fan. Let's go and do it. But he's not doing that. Rather than doing that, he's actually going across and cutting costs for lunch money. He's cutting out lunch for the staff at Carrington and stuff, and he's getting rid of people. He's getting rid of staff, and you're thinking, what are you doing? What are you doing? That's not how you run Man United. We are a club. We're a family. These guys, these staff have been working there for many, many years, and you've come in, and rather than saying to the Glazers, wait up, guys, you need to pull your weight. You need to put some money in. And rather than saying that, he's saying, oh, get rid of the staff. But the one staff member that he needs to be on the back of, he's saying he can have 3 years without showing any results. So, yeah, I'm not going to give free lunches away, but I'm going to allow Amrin 3 years to do whatever. Mark says, Jim is 72, he should retire and have a company with young girls and get drunk. Yeah. I mean, look, he should be enjoying himself, right? He should be enjoying himself, but I guess he's just thinking, right, okay, this is the way I'm going to improve United, and this is the way I'm going to stick with the manager. And he alluded to the fact that, look, I'm giving the manager time, and Man United managers are not getting enough time. That's complete gaslighting. That is complete gaslighting. That's absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish. United have always given their managers time. You look back, and I said this in yesterday's live show, if you look at back our past managers, exceptions are obviously Rangnick. Apart from him, everybody else has got 2 years plus. Everybody else has been given time. We've not rushed through our managers like other clubs do. Any other club, they get rid of the managers, boom, boom, boom. You're not getting wins. You're out. But we at United, as fans, have been really patient, and we still are. I mean, there's still lots of fans still backing Ruben Amorim, and I'm not entirely like saying, look, I want to get rid of Ruben Amorim. I'm saying he's got to start improving. He's got to start improving, and improving fast. We can't give him just a blank check and endless time and say, look, you do whatever you need to do, and you do what you like, and but your job's safe. That is not good. Unless, and I was saying this yesterday, which was unless Sir Jim Ratcliffe is playing the game. He's not letting these players who've got rid of several managers before by downing their tools. He might be giving a message to them saying, you might want me to sack the manager because that's what you're used to. That's what you always do. You players kick off, you throw your dummies out, and you hope the manager's going to get sacked. But this time I'm not going to do that. We're not going to do that. This time we're going to let you work hard. We're going to leave the manager in situ, and we're going to see what happens with you players. Can you cut the mustard, or will you guys give up? We're not going to go through the same cycle. Maybe he's doing that. Maybe. I don't know. Mark says Rangnick must be smiling with an NDA. He told the truth. Open heart surgery. Oh, yeah, I love that. Glazers couldn't go. Yeah, I mean, that. Whatever you thought of Rangnick, the dude is a legend. Absolute legend. For coming out in the press conference, having the minerals to come out and say that about United. I mean, look, let's be honest. Man United fans, some of them get very heated up. The moment you start mentioning change and things need to improve, but Man United fans go on the defensive. Some of them, not all of them. I mean, some with common sense are like, yeah, we need to change. We need to move this. We need to do this. We can't accept this. But some fans completely have a meltdown when you tell them that things aren't going as planned and things are not improving. We need to have better standards. We as Man United fans need to set the standards for the club. We have to set the standards for the owners and say, look, this is what's acceptable. This is what we expect from you as owners. We want you to take our club in this direction. We want you to invest this much. We want you to be hands-on. We want you to be forward-facing, coming out, speaking to the fans, not just hiding away somewhere. And to be fair, Jim Ratcliffe somewhat has done that. Obviously, he speaks through his interviews and stuff, but he tries. I guess he's much better than the Glazers. But the other thing we have is the Glazers. Coming back to Rangnick, he actually made the points that every fan wanted to say. This is it. We needed open heart surgery. This was never gonna be easy. And look, the journey from that point onwards hasn't been easy, but we are working our way through. But what we have is we haven't got the tools. We've got owners who are not allowing us to move forward. They're not allowing us to improve ourselves. That's the problem. Mark says again, the full reset still hasn't happened at United. I.e. Bruno, Dalot, Shaw, Maguire all playing against Sunderland. How can academy players come through? I agree with that. I agree. There are some concerns I have with Ruben Amorim. And look, first of all, let me make it clear. Ruben Amorim, I love the guy. I thought when he came in, breath of fresh air. He was very different to the other managers we've had. Very good when it came to press conferences and things like that. But I have to say that the way he sets up the team and his tactical awareness when the match is being played, I don't think he sees it like a top manager should be seeing it. A top manager should be looking at his players, watching exactly what everyone's doing and react in real time. And then his insistence on playing Dalot. I mean, any flipping person can see Dalot is shit. He's absolutely awful. I've not met many Man United fans. Actually, I have a few fans who who are fanboys of Dalot and say, look, Dalot's brilliant. And there's a few people who say, Bruno is fantastic as well. Look, actually, lots of people say Bruno's fantastic. Even I say he's a top player. But I say he's a top player, but he's not a top leader. That's the difference. That's the only criticism I have of Bruno Fernandes. I don't think he is a leader on the pitch. I was watching the interview the other day with Gerrard, with Rio Ferdinand, and how he looked up at Roy Keane and how he thought Roy Keane was the bee's knees. And yeah, that's what we need. We need leaders. And he kind of said to Rio Ferdinand, he said, look, United, they had just leaders all across the pitch at the time when Gerrard was playing. And you start looking back at these United teams, and yeah, that is it. We had leaders. Right now, you're hard pushed to find any leader on this United team. You look around and you think, who's leading this team? Who's the one person that's saying, get your shit together, we're going to go and win this game? Come on. Can you imagine getting into a fight with another team, with this United team? Who's going to back you up? Nobody. You're just going to be left alone. He picks Bruno every game, he picks, Cornet, Dalot, Bruno, Portuguese friends, I think, look, I didn't want to make that link of the Portuguese thing because it's an obvious one, but I do feel like he favours Dalot and Bruno. For me, the issue is, okay, look, Bruno's our captain and he's a top player. There's no doubt about that. But there are days and matches where he's not having a good game, and he's awful. He's awful. We can all see it. Even if you go watch them live at Old Trafford, when I'm watching, when you're in Old Trafford watching the game, the benefit is that you can see players off the ball and what they're doing, how they're moving, what they're reacting like, what their mood's like off the ball. Obviously, when you're watching at home, you can't see. The camera's not focusing on those players. But when you're watching Bruno and you're losing, and he's not having a good game, and he's sulking, and he's just complaining about things, and he's shouting at the players, and just having a whinge about. He's not encouraging them. He's actually whinging at them about something. You're not doing this right. You're not doing this right. Oh, you didn't pass me the ball. And that, to me, then I think, right, okay, surely Ruben Amorim's watching this, and Ruben Amorim should think, right, okay, I think it's time Bruno comes off, and somebody else goes on, Kobe Mainoo, or someone else. But no, he keeps him on. He insists on playing him the full 90 minutes. And to me, that's where I think Ruben Amorim is lacking. I think that's where he needs to change things up. I've said it time and time again. There's a few things that Ruben Amorim needs to do to become a good manager or a top manager. Number one is that he needs to be flexible. Not just with the selection, but also with his formation and his tactics. He can't carry on playing and insisting that this is the way forward and then screwing things up. I mean, when we lost 3-0 against City, and he came into the post-match press conference and started talking about how he's not going to change the formation, he's going to keep it exactly the way it was out there. 3-0 we lost, I'm going to keep the team as it is. And you start thinking, well, that's ridiculous. Well, we can't have that. You're essentially driving the bus. You're driving the bus, but you're driving it off a cliff, and you're saying, everyone's telling you, you're driving off the cliff. There's a cliff. We're going to fall off the cliff. Stop. And he's thinking, he keeps turning around to you and says, I don't care. I'm going to still drive at 100 miles per hour down this road. I don't care if the road ends and it's a cliff edge. That's what he's saying to us. And then you start panicking. And of course, even, look, after the City match, even I panicked and I thought, look, we can't have another season where it's completely over before we even start. I don't want to be sat here thinking, oh, what do I watch? Because I can't watch United play because we're not fighting for anything. There's no Champions League football we're fighting for. We're just mid-table team. We're just going up and down, playing games. I hate that feeling, and I know lots of other Man United fans do as well. We're so used to competing for everything, and now we're competing for nothing. Just ridiculous. Mark, thank you for your comments. Mark goes, he called out Euro next game. Euro got dropped, and by Amorim. Yeah, I saw that. He got dropped. And we saw what happened. Thiago, what he did to Maguire and De Ligt. He just ran through them like they weren't even there. He outpaced them and got his 2 goals. And it was obvious that if Euro was playing, that one of the best young centre-backs in the world right now, without a shadow of a doubt. This guy was being targeted and wanted by Real Madrid. If he was playing for Real Madrid, you know he would be playing week in, week out right now for Real Madrid. That's how good, that's how lucky we got with getting Len Euro. But what we're deciding to do is like, oh, leave him. We'll put on Harry Maguire instead. There's hope. I like Glamins and Sesko. United need 4-5 other ballers. Sell Maguire, Shaw, Dallo, Bruno. It will all come together. Sorry, Amrin ain't the dude. Yeah, look, I agree with most of what you said there. I agree, Mark. I think the same thing. I think Maguire, look, there's actually talk about him getting a new contract. What the F is that all about? Like, who wants Maguire on a new contract? Why are we still giving these guys new contract extensions? We need to be looking elsewhere. There was some positive news. I mean, there was some news about how United might be looking to go after Mark Guehi, the Crystal Palace captain, who Liverpool tried to sign and they failed last day of the transfer window. I mean, that would be sensational if we could do that. If that would be a great signing. But yeah, I think there are positives. We've got to look at the positive. Positives are that Šeško could turn into a very, very good striker. I think he's got the basics. I think the difference that with him and Højlund is that, look, Højlund didn't really ever show composure on the ball. He kind of panicked every time he got the ball, tried to take a shot as quick as possible, tried to wrestle with players rather than controlling the ball. I think Šeško, on the other hand, will score plenty of goals if he gets a service. If he gets the right service, this guy is deadly in front of goal, not just with his headers, but also with his feet. So I think he's got a massive, massive future at United, and so have the other youngsters that we brought in. I think, look, the signings that we've brought in recent years have been positive. Under Ineos, I'm not going to completely slay Ineos. I'm not going to say everything they've done is shit. No, that'll be unfair. I think a few things that they've done, and we've got to hold our hands up and say, look, these are good moves. Number one, they've brought in better staff behind the scenes, like the Jason Wilcox and Omar Bradas, and even with the tried with Dan Ashworth and whatever the staff they're bringing in behind the scenes. They're good. They're good staff because they've got experience. So that's number one. Number two is that the player recruitment has been better. We all can see the difference between what we're doing in player recruitment now than what we were doing under the Glazers and Woodward and the other cronies that they put in place. It was illogical. It was just scattergun approach. We were just looking for any player. He's available, we'll go sign him. He's the player, we're going to go after him, and we're going to spend all summer begging him to come to United, and we'd be embarrassed by the end of the transfer window. Right now, the approach is very different, and I like that. I really do. I like the fact that United are looking at younger players. I like they're looking at potential, and I like the fact that they don't publicise that they're making an offer, they're going after this player and turning it into a complete transfer saga, and we get pie on our faces at the end of it when the player decides not to join us. So what they're doing right now is pretty good. That they did with Sesko, they inquired, and then they said, do you want to play for United above any other club? If you do, we'll come in for you. We'll come and make an offer for you. If you don't, thank you very much, we're off. And until Sesko didn't say, I want United, they didn't go in with an offer. Same thing with Mbeumo. He made it very clear, I want United and no other club. Not Newcastle, nobody else. And boom, they made the offer. They went in there and got Mbeumo. And that's, I think, a better strategy when it comes to signing players. You're not embarrassing the club by just simply going after every single player, and you're not sure whether the player actually wants to play for you. And if another offer comes in for another club, he might join them. So you don't want that. You want players that want to play for the badge. And I think in this summer transfer window, we have bought in players that want to play for the club. As you say, Euro scores goals too, future big star. Yeah, absolutely. Radnick's plan was to sign hungry Euro ballers on second contracts. Shame he was sacked. Yeah, look, there's one manager or person I would have still liked to have at the club, and that is Radnick. Seriously, the guy was ahead of his time. He was ahead of his time. He had the balls to stand up to the Glazers and to the other people around United and say, you're making this into a complete shit show. You're making this into a complete shit show, and you need to sort this out. And it's not going to be good enough to go and sign one marquee player and call it a day, and everything else is going to sort itself out. No, it's not. It's not going to sort itself out. It's not. We need open heart surgery, like he said, and it's not going to be easy. We need to change everything about the club and the current ethos. Right now, we've got flipping losers at the club. We've got losers. And look, Amrin has told us that. Amrin isn't someone who's kind of protecting the players either. He's turned around and said, look, these players, their mentality is all about losing. They panic as soon as they're playing and they go 1-0 down or even 1-0 up. They panic because they're not used to winning. What kind of manager comes out and says that? And he did tell us. He did say this is possibly the worst United team in history. He said something like that, I remember, and everyone was like shocked. But he's been telling us this. He's been telling us in not even indirect ways. He's been telling us directly, this team is shit. I'm gonna need some time to take out all these players and bring in better players with better mentalities. Mark says, I like to see United have a second youth team to play cup games like Liverpool, but there's no development. No, there isn't. Luke Shaw needs an Uber to nowhere. Yeah. Oh, God. Luke Shaw, do you know what? That guy, someone needs to ask him his secret, because how's he survived? How's he survived? This guy, we could throw him in the jungle and he would survive. He is built like to survive, man. He has been injured throughout his career at United, but somehow he's still at the club. Somehow this guy has survived, and not only survived, time after time managers come in and decide to play him as well. How's he being played ahead of the likes of Haven? I would play Haven at the back. I would even try Haven at the back. I can't see why Amrin's playing him, but again, this is it. We need to explore different teams, different selections, and try and work on this team. Look, it's going to be interesting times ahead when it comes to Jim Ratcliffe and whether he's even going to be the owner come end of maybe this year, maybe, or if the news is true and we are on the verge of being taken over by a investment group from the UAE, from Dubai, this means a lot of changes coming. It means everything will get transformed. Number one, our debt gets cleared. Number two, we hopefully get a better stadium, or Old Trafford gets improved, and we start bringing in players that can actually make a difference. We can actually start competing, because without Champions League football, without bringing in additional revenue and income, we're going to start struggling. We're going to start struggling from against the likes of Liverpool and Cities, because they're going to easily outbid us. Now, the Mark Gui rumour, all well and good, but then I thought, well, let's be honest, if we go into a bidding war against likes of Liverpool, we're going to lose. We're going to lose, and that's going to be slightly embarrassing. That's going to be embarrassing. We need to kind of accept that we haven't got the funds like we used to, and it's all poor Jim Ratcliffe. He's not going to put that money down either. He's probably thinking, I only own 25% of the club. This could watch this space, because I think from these rumours, these reports, what I think could be happening behind the scenes is that the Glazers are looking to sell up and leave. They've been told by Jim Ratcliffe that he's not going to come in right now and buy the remaining 75%. That's what I'm thinking. It makes no sense otherwise. This story about the outside investors coming in and negotiating with the Glazers, it wouldn't make any sense if Jim Ratcliffe had already told the Glazers that I'm going to take over the remaining 75% of the shares. I think what he's gone and said is, I'm not right now in a position to buy the rest of the club. I'm not in a position to take over. So what I will do is wait and see. So the Glazers are thinking, right, we want out. We want out of the club. We want to sell up. We want to cash out on this club. We're going to get in excess of £5 billion. We can take that money, invest it into many different businesses or some other business, which will give us much more dividends back. And yeah, that is true. There's many different industries that they could invest that money into and make a lot of money compared to leaving it in United. So I think that's the determining factor for the Glazers. They believe that they can take this money and go off and make lots more money. Right now, United isn't profitable for them. Right now, they've not been taking a dividend from the club. Since Jim Ratcliffe came on board, the dividend got froze. I'm going to check that out again. Last time I read, the Glazers hadn't taken a dividend out of the club. They were taking regular dividends out every year. They didn't give a shit. No matter what was going on at the club, they were taking money out every year. They were like, right, okay, payday, let's go, and take our money out. Every year they do that. No matter what was going on the pitch, United. United was laying a golden egg for him every year for him, and they were walking off in the sunset. But since they went into this financial difficulty, and the Ratcliffe had to come on board, Ineos had to come on board and bail them out essentially. They've not been able to take a dividend, so they're probably looking at it thinking, right, we're not making any money. We've got all this money sat there, but it's not ours. It's there in this club, and we don't know what the future might hold. Let's cash out. We're not young. They're not young. The Glazers are in it, old as well, and they're probably thinking, let's cash out. Let's take this money and go and invest in something else rather than leaving it in this volatile place, which is Man United. Okay? So, let's see. Am I still live, guys? Because on the screen, I can't see if it's live. Hey, let me see. Oh, my camera. Is my camera still on? Because on the screen. Am I live? I'm still live. I'm still live. Am I not? Let me refresh this. Right, okay. Yeah, anyway, guys, drop your comments below. Mark, thank you for your comments, mate. You made a very interesting show. Glazers just buy Bitcoin and cocaine. Mark, you're a jolly fella. I like this. I like this, Mark. Mark, make sure you subscribe to the channel, by the way. Make sure you hit the like button on the video as well, guys. Everyone who's here, please go ahead and subscribe. Become part of this community, this Man United community. We're all about fun, positivity, and discussing Man United, and of course bringing you genuine news. We don't talk rubbish. We don't kind of bring you sensational news and start filling your head with all sorts of crap. We keep it real. Look, there could be a potential sale. Yes, there's a £5.2 billion offer maybe on the table here for the Glazers. There is something going on. We can tell you that much. There is something. Behind closed doors, there's something going on. We're not quite sure what, though, because there's no smoke without fire. This guy outside, out in Turkey, not in Al-Turkey, out in Saudi Arabia, he wouldn't have just made this claim out of the blue. He wouldn't have just simply said, oh, by the way, United are in advanced talks with a group of investors who are going to buy United. He's going to, if he'd said that and then not doubled down either, he's doubled down on it and said, no, this is genuine. I'm telling you that this is happening. If he didn't do that, then you could argue, he's putting his own reputation at risk, isn't he? Why would someone do that? Why would someone be so foolish in doing that? We know he's a Man United fan as well. So he's clearly got excited, like most of us have. And he's clearly thought, oh my God, we're going to, this is Rob Taff. I said, Turkey is a reliable source. He's done wonders for boxing. That's great to hear. That's the type of positivity. That's the positivity we want to hear. That is it. I like them kind of comments. I like that. That is it. Look, I've been talking to quite a few people who know boxing really well. I've got a few friends who are proper into boxing, always travel out to Saudi to go and watch the boxing. I think there's one of my friends who goes out with one of these young boxers. I can't remember his name now, but he's going on. He's doing brilliant in boxing world. I can't remember his name. He's always fighting anyway. And he was telling me, he goes, this guy, Al-Turkey, Sheikh Al-Turkey, he said, he's the real deal. This guy is not talking shit. And I was like, are you sure? Are you sure he's just not pulling everyone's leg? And he said, no, this guy, when he says things are going to happen, they happen. In fact, when he is telling me about how he matches up boxers and puts these fights on, and he says, oh, I'm going to have this fight take place in the middle of the desert. And everyone's like, what's he on? What's he smoking? But then a year later, that's exactly what's happened. You've got the best of the best boxers fighting in the world. And this guy is not someone who just talks shit. He is... If he wants things doing, and if he knows things are happening, he will let you know. And you might at that time think it's a pipe dream, but they actually happen. So that's really, it's filled me with positivity. Yesterday, in yesterday's show, look, I was kind of cagey. If you didn't know, I was like a bit like, it could happen, it could not happen, maybe. This is what he's tweeted, but this guy is a billionaire. He's heading up a fund worth billions of pounds. He's completely transformed boxing. Why would he want to lie about Man United? Why would he need? And then I said, oh, maybe it's because he needs followers or something. Then you go onto his profile and he's got millions of followers. Then I thought, well, it's not that either. It's not someone unknown who wants, lots of people to start following him. This guy doesn't need the attention. He doesn't need it. So Rob Taff, yeah, that's great to hear. Mark says, Amrin will not survive under Turkey. Turkey likes the best. Yeah, But is it Turkey, though? Is it Turkey who actually is going to buy United? Because that's the question, isn't it? I think he's got to have something to do with it, surely. But then, look, someone else was telling me that Turkey, he could be sabotaging this as well. Because he could be looking at it thinking, Dubai's taking over. We want it as well. We want United. They're quite competitive in the Middle East. You might think that they get on, but they don't. Dubai doesn't really get on with Saudi. They all try to outbid each other. They all want to have these amazing investments and clubs. And PSG, obviously, with the Qataris. Man City with, obviously, UAE. And then you've got Newcastle with the Saudis. Now, arguably, the Saudis have got probably the worst deal there. They're probably looking at Newcastle thinking, it doesn't really grab at the headlines, if you know what I mean. Do you get it? United are the biggest fish in the pond, without a doubt. United are the one club that everyone dreams of owning. Look, there's certain clubs that if you had a choice, if you had the money to buy, you're not going to go and buy an unknown club. If you want to really stamp your authority and really say, I'm the biggest dog in the yard, I'm the man, I'm the G, it's going to be either Barcelona, either Real Madrid or United. Them are the three big clubs in the world that you look at and say, yeah, that Daz Sweet says it's not Turkey, he's just talking as a fan in the know, so something is happening. Yeah, I agree. That's been thanks, Daz. There's a few people who've said the same thing. They said it's not Turkey. In fact, yesterday, as soon as he made the first tweet, a few people started already saying it's not him himself. He's already ruled himself out, and they're focusing on certain events, certain sports in Saudi, but not football as per se. They're not going after football. They've already got their own Saudi league going on. They're investing lots of money, billions of pounds in that. But this guy is in the know-how. He knows different people. Of course you would. You're rubbing shoulders with billionaires, investors, everywhere you go. You're talking to people. You're probably in a group chat with billionaires, right? You're in a group chat with all these billionaires and someone drops it in the group chat. By the way, I'm going to go and make an offer for 5 billion plus for United. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of watching my club not doing well. And I'm going in there. I'm going in there and buying it. And yeah, that is possibly the real deal. That is what's going on behind the scenes. And one thing we've got to understand. So let's go back to a bit of a technical talk here, because many people don't really understand what has been going on behind the scenes with the Glazers and Ineos, and what this whole contract situation means. Many people originally yesterday was like, no, how the hell would this be happening without Ineos knowing? How the hell could this deal be going down without Ineos being part of it? Well, Ineos don't need to be part of it. That's the crazy thing. Under the contract that Ineos have entered into with The Glazers. The Glazers are allowed to go and sell whatever they want to sell. The Glazers are free to approach whoever they want to approach. They don't need to seek permission from Jim Ratcliffe. They don't need to sit down with him and say, can we sell our shares to so-and-so? Or can we open negotiations with so-and-so? They're free to do entirely whatever they want to do. That's the big misnomer. That's the thing that many fans are getting confused with, saying, oh, no, this isn't happening. It's all rubbish. It's all rubbish because Jim Ratcliffe is not party to it. And Jim Ratcliffe is planning to build a stadium and so forth. Do you know what? In fact, I would not be surprised if Ratcliffe's part of it already. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if Ratcliffe's turned round to the Glazers and said, I'm not buying the club. I'm not buying the rest of your shares. So I tell you what, you can go out there and look for somebody else to come in and take over that 75%. And then I will work with them. It's clear United need the money to go and build a new stadium. They haven't got the funds. No one's gonna give them the money. And they're already in, I think it's almost near enough £1 billion in debt. United are completely overloaded with debt. Now, if they want to go and build a new stadium, that's another bill, another £1 billion minimum, yeah, that they have to invest. Who's going to give that money to them? The Glazers are definitely not going to pay that. The Glazers have not paid for anything. Any club that they've owned, they own the Buccaneers out in the United States, and they've not invested anything in that club either. They don't want to pay for anything. And we've seen them with United. They've not done anything. They've allowed the roof to flip and leak. I mean, if you ever turn up to Old Trafford, it is so old now. And walking up the stairs, walking around, it's still well kept, don't get me wrong. It's still nice. It's still Old Trafford. It still gives you the chills as soon as you walk in. Every game, every time I go in, it just gives me the chills, man. It just fills me with so much happiness just to walk out onto the terraces and just look down at the ground and just the pristine grass and stuff. But behind the scenes, when you're walking up and around, and the facilities, the breakout areas, they're absolutely rubbish. League One clubs probably could do better. Even they probably have better facilities when it comes to snacks and drinks and whatnot. That's how terrible it is. And so half the time it smells of pee in there. It smells of, it stinks down there. And again, that's not good. That's not a good look. When you're when you're charging so much for per game, per ticket, you need to provide the service with that as well. You're not going to charge this much money, £50 plus, and say, right, okay, come and sit down in a shithole and watch your team play. You don't want that. No one's going to pay for that. After a while, the fans will say, right, we're off. We're not going to do this. So they need the money to make a bigger, better stadium, and no one's going to invest in it. Hence why they're looking for outside investment, and maybe that's the secret. Maybe that is what's going to happen. Maybe the Glazers and Ineos have sat down, and the Glazers have said, are you prepared to buy the rest of the shares at this rate, whatever you want to pay? And Jim Ratcliffe, knowing what you already know, let's look at the facts. Let's look at what Jim Ratcliffe is rolling like. Is he rolling like a wealthy billionaire who's got money to throw away? No, he's not. No, he's not. If no one knew he was a billionaire and someone said he's coming in, this guy, and he's cutting staff off the roll, he's cutting lunches, he's taken off Sir Alex as the ambassador for the club, he's taken off ex-legends of the club off the payroll, funding them here and there. He's done all that. And is this guy a billionaire? Most people would say, hell no, he's not a billionaire. This guy's definitely not a billionaire. He's not rolling like a billionaire. He's not rolling like someone who's going to pull out his checkbook and say, he's £1 billion, let's clear the debt. He's another £1 billion, let's go and build a new stadium. He is another 500 million, let's go and buy some top players and really get some success at this club. He's not doing that. He's not one of those owners. He is, like I said, I've said it many times, it's no secret, he is like another Glazer. He's like having an English version of the Glazers. Someone who's come in and really wants to get money out as well as not really wanting to put any money into the club. That's what he's all about. And yeah, let us know if you disagree with that, because I'd love to hear from somebody who thinks that he is someone who will spend the money. And I think that's where it comes down to. The biggest thing right now, what we have with this possible rumour that's going around about United being taken over, it's hands down. It's hands down. We know that no one's willing to put the money in. No one's willing to put the money in. And right now, Jim Ratcliffe and the Glazers are sat there looking at each other saying, you put the money in. And Ratcliffe must be saying, no, you put the money in. You fund the new stadium. And we've been told that the stadium plans are on hold right now. They're not moving forward. And the one of the primary reasons for that is most likely funding. Yeah, you can go out and get some bank loans, but again, you're going to have to pay interest on that. You're going to have to pay interest on these loans. And United already pay humongous amounts of interest each and every year on the outstanding debt that they've already got on the club. The Glazers helped us out with that when they bought the club. They just levied all the debt on United and said, you pay for the debt. And since then, every time we go and sign these marquee players and we're like, where did this money come from? Where did all this money come from? How come we've gone out and bought all these players? It's because they're taking loans out. Every transfer window, United end up taking loans out. United have got one of the biggest, if not the biggest, outstanding transfer fee debt out there. So the amount of players that they've bought in, they still owe all these clubs lots of money for these transfers. They still haven't paid them off. And that is worrying. As a United fan who wants to see the best of United, you want to see United clear of debt. You want them to be balling. You want them to be, calling the shots like a giant club like ourselves should be doing. But we're not. I'm just hoping, fingers crossed, that something actually concrete comes of this. We've had some positive comments today already about what is going on with this possible deal. There's lots of fans out there who are quietly confident, and I say quietly because no one wants to get carried away. No one at United right now in the fan base is saying, oh yeah, this is a done deal and let's go and start looking for the future. Everyone is measured, everyone's calm, everyone's collected, everyone's watching the news as it's happening, and we're all thinking, right, this could be a strong possibility, this could actually happen, this could take place, and we're all hoping that we get an early Christmas present and the Glazers ride off into the sunset and we never see them again. We never have to mention their name again, because they've been an absolute nightmare for this club. And I know for a fact there's rival fans out there from all the other clubs who are wishing complete the opposite. They want the Glazers to stay. They don't want any takeover. The moment we mention a possible takeover, a possible investor, especially a rich group of individuals, a billionaire from the Middle East or something, it sends shivers down the spines of every single rival fan, because they know that United are a sleeping giant, and if they get the investment in, they're gonna come back and actually take the mantle of the biggest club in Europe. And they're scared. They're all scared. But anyway, guys, that is it for today's show. Please hit that subscribe button, become part of our community. Make sure you hit the like button on this video. And of course, I'll try and bring you further development on this. I mean, we could get some news later on today. It's a fast-moving story. But I'm hoping over the weekend we might get something. And if we do, I will bring anything that's breaking to you as soon as possible. So, guys, make sure you subscribe. You watching the Man United Stream channel. That is it for today. Goodbye.